Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, influential conservative activist Charlie Kirk is shot and killed at a Utah college event. Also tonight, a look at the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to lift restrictions on L.A. immigration stops. And author Gil Gillenwater talks about his career doing service work on the U.S.-Mexico border. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. We begin with news that conservative activist Charlie Kirk was shot and killed today. Kirk was a close ally of President Trump and the founder of the influential conservative youth group Turning Point USA, which is based here in Arizona. Kirk was shot as he was speaking at a midday event at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, about 40 miles south of Salt Lake City. A spokeswoman for the university said that Kirk was struck by a suspect who fired a single shot from a building more than 100 yards away. Reporters at the event had these eyewitness accounts.
We were about 10 minutes into the interview, and four people in front of us, we hear the gunshot, and then you see Charlie go limp. His neck kind of turned, and we saw blood immediately. To be perfectly blunt, it felt like so much blood came out of his neck immediately, and then we all took to the ground. I can't tell you almost what happened immediately after. We had been there for about an hour before, and we were just interviewing people on the ground. And it was a really happy, excited atmosphere. We talked to some girls who were they were freshmen. They were excited to be around other conservatives. And then the question leading up to it, a kid came up and he asked a question about how many transgender shooters there were, and Charlie gave him another comment, and then he asked one more question, and so the question was about shooters, and before Charlie Kirk could pick up the mic again, that's when the shot happened.
Those reporters from the Deseret News. Now, as we tape today's show, there is still an active investigation in finding the shooter, who is still at large. That contradicts the director of the FBI, who had posted that a suspect was in custody. Officials now say that the person in custody right now is considered only a person of interest. Kirk's death was announced by President Trump on the president's social media platform. Charlie Kirk, dead at 31 years of age. Now, for more on this story and the increasingly volatile nature of political and social discourse in the country, we turn to Keith Allred, Executive Director, the University of Arizona's National Institute for Civil Discourse. Keith, good to have you on the program. We thank you for giving us some time here and talking to us. Just your general thoughts on the shooting death of a very influential political person.
Yeah, it's just tragic and abhorrent, Ted. We've now seen a bit of a rising tide in political violence, and it's a terrible reflection on the current state of our politics.
Yeah, and I want to get back to that rising tide in a second. But first, who was Charlie Kirk? Started Turning Point. I mean, as an 18-year-old, he started this influential group.
Yeah, certainly a very influential group on college campuses across the nation. And, sometimes a controversial figure, sometimes espousing views that many might disagree with. But I want to make this point that he was really a champion of free speech and discourse, and I think was really providing a service by going to college campuses like he was today to have an honest exchange of ideas. And he often called it "prove me wrong," and that's the attitude we should have, is that we've got our differences, let's engage each other, but we've got to do it constructively.
Is that how Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk, is that how they became such a force, just being out there on college campuses and saying essentially, prove me wrong, let's go ahead and debate?
Yeah, that was the thrust of that organization, to really rally college students to engage that way. Of course, it was on the right, in a sense that many people have on college campuses that conservative perspectives weren't welcome. So his answer to that is the answer we should all have, is more free speech. So free speech is the answer, and I'm going to go to college campuses and make my case, and I'm also going to let you take me on and challenge me and ask questions and engage each other as we should in a democracy.
Using the power of social media, it seemed I've heard him described as kind of the new generation's Rush Limbaugh. That makes sense to you?
Yeah, I think that's right. It's different media outlets, and Charlie was certainly very skilled and capable at understanding those media outlets and working with them in a way to engage people on the differences of our day.
Yeah, and with the differences of our day, Keith, we're just seeing protests, and the protests aren't just protests anymore. It's getting pretty nasty out there. What do you make of all this?
It is getting pretty nasty, and of course, that's in a context of rising bitterness in our political divides. But, Tony, here's a very important point I want to make, and that is that we are better than this, and it is not reflective of the vast majority of Americans. That one lone violent actor, for every one of those, there are hundreds of thousands of us who abhor it. And so I just think it's critical that the rest of us stand up and express ourselves to condemn it. I've been impressed with our political leaders left and right. They have very quickly condemned this, but we all need to be part of that to make that salient and vivid that those acts do not represent us, that we're better than this.
And yet, Keith, I got to tell you, I keep hearing that this isn't who we are, and I keep hearing it again and again and again as we prove that this is who we are. How do you square that?
Well, when you say we, the number of people who have acted in political violence is a handful in a country of over 300 million people. So I think you have to be very careful about saying a couple of people is an accurate reflection of the entire country. We certainly have gotten more angry and less civil in our discourse, but the vast, vast majority of us have not resorted to violence.
What is happening to the country? Why are we getting more angry? Why is there less civil discourse?
Yeah, it's a complicated question. It's really been a tide that started rising about 40 years ago, and a lot of complicated factors into it. The thing that probably kicked it off is that we started to sort ourselves into the two political parties ideologically in a way we'd never have in the United States. We used to have a fair number of conservative Democrats and liberal Republicans. We don't have that anymore. And as we lost that, then we started to lose a little bit of the tempering effects. And then we just keep adding accelerants to the fire, social media certainly being one of those, that it just keeps building on itself.
Yeah, I was going to say, social media would be a big accelerant. It seems to emphasize the negative with gusto.
It does, and it's, again, a misrepresentation. Those of us who have the most extreme views talk louder and longer than the rest of us. They post more on social media. They're more inflammatory posts on social media. So they get more attention and more clicks, and obviously the algorithms on social media sort of play to it. But that still is not an accurate reflection of who we are at large in a country of over 300 million people.
So for those who do need to reevaluate themselves and how they address issues, how do you do it? How do you make sure that when you have the argument, or you have the debate, it doesn't turn into an argument?
Yeah, we like to say at the National Institute for Civil Discourse that the first principle and the best practice of civil discourse is to listen, and listen for understanding. And so if you go into a conversation really seeking to hear the other side out, listen for the merits, not just the flaws in what they have to say, then that conversation is always going to turn out better. It's not a foolproof. It's not that conversations can't sometimes go south, but the prospects of a constructive conversation go way up if we just listen. And the other piece of it is they're more likely to listen to you if you listen to them. So it doesn't always have to be one way of you just listening to them. They're more likely to listen to you, and you'll get a chance to make your case as well.
Keith, before we let you go, I know you have a project going where you want people to contribute ideas. Talk to us about that quickly, if you could.
Yeah, so this point that we're better than this that I'm making, I think we have to make that salient, and we all have to be a part of it. Those of us who are not as extreme in our views, need to step up and be heard. So I just invite people, if you want to do something concrete in the wake of this tragedy and say, hey, I'd like to contribute to us getting to a better place, I'd encourage people to post on social media condemning it and use the hashtag better than this, and we can get that going. People can also go to our website at commonsenseamerican.org, better than this, and you can record a one-sentence video on there, and then we'll post it. You can see lots of other videos posted there, in a way of getting a little bit of a movement to push back of all of us to demonstrate that we really are better than this.
Keith Allred, University of Arizona National Institute for Civil Discourse. Sir, thank you so much for making time for us. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Next time on Father Brown,
This lad is going all the way.
a local boxer is set for the big fight,
I managed to bag us some front row seats.
but a man from his gym is killed.
Tripped and fell.
You think he might have been pushed?
I'm not ruling it out.
Father Brown.
Saturday night at 7:30 on Arizona PBS.
Looking to jumpstart your career opportunities? Arizona PBS has you covered. Come to the Salvation Army Kroc Center in South Phoenix between 5:30 and 8 p.m. on September 11th. Get expert advice, valuable resources, and discover new opportunities at this free career networking event sponsored by Gateway Community College.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
You're not angry with them? Maybe it all got out of control. I think he's answered your questions.
I had a call from a police officer about being a witness in a murder investigation.
Have you told the police about the row that night?
Unforgotten on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
The U.S. Supreme Court this week ruled that sweeping immigration raids in the Los Angeles area can continue. The ruling lifted a federal judge's order banning government agents from making indiscriminate immigration-related stops. And joining us now is attorney Stephen Montoya, partner at Montoya, Lucera, and Pastor. Good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us here. So
good to see you.
So the Supreme Court lifts the federal judge order. What exactly was going on and is going on in Los Angeles?
No one knows, including the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court exacerbated the situation by issuing an order vacating the temporary restraining order, which was scheduled to expire automatically later this month at a full evidentiary hearing. See, because the Supreme Court vacated the temporary restraining order without opinion. Justice Kavanaugh's opinion was not an opinion of the court. It was just his own personal judicial opinion, a concurring opinion that is not binding. So, Ted, there is no order. The court didn't explain its order, and the case is still pending in the district court and in the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, but they have no guidance from the court because the concurring opinion is not binding.
Yeah.
So who knows why they ruled the way they did?
Well,
it was a reckless thing to do.
Not only that, who knows what it means? Does it mean Los Angeles only? Does it mean other areas of the country?
No one knows. No one knows. And no one even knows what it means for the lower court case, because it could be that the court vacated the district court's order because it was a temporary restraining order, and the Supreme Court thought that there should be a full evidentiary hearing on the merits, which didn't take place. That could have been it, or it could have just said, hey, you know, they can do whatever they want, but it didn't say one way or the other. So honestly, that's why I use the word reckless. Ordinarily, litigants and the people look to the Supreme Court for guidance. It gave no guidance in this case, only confusion.
Justice Sotomayor in dissent said this is a quote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work at a low-wage job." Is that what's happening here?
We don't know. There's a strong case that could be made that that's what's happening here. But because the court didn't explain itself, once again, we don't know. I've read both lower courts' decisions. If you read what the district court found preliminarily, it's really a horrible story. United States citizens, a native-born citizen of the United States, grabbed, detained, they take away his cell phone, they take away his real ID and don't give it back and rough him up and then let him go. He was only stopped based upon the way he looked. He looked Hispanic and he was Hispanic, but that's not a reasonable suspicion under long existing case law. In preparing for this show, I was trying to trace how long the doctrine of requiring a particularized individual suspicion in order to justify a detention, and it goes back over 50 years.
So how is this not then a violation of, what is it, the Fourth Amendment? Reasonable search, is this reasonable search and seizure?
I don't think it is, but the majority of the court might agree. We don't know why they vacated, once again, the opinion, and that's why I go back to saying that it really was a reckless thing for the court to do, and it has caused confusion. It's caused chaos. People are saying, oh, people are justifiably fearing that racial profiling has become legal, because that's what was going on in the streets of Los Angeles, and I'll explain. Instead of looking for, hey, we've heard that Juan Martinez is undocumented, let's go find him and see if we're right. They were just stopping Hispanic-looking people on the street, on particular streets where working people would gather, sometimes waiting for a job and sometimes waiting for just the bus, and they would demand that they prove that they were in the United States lawfully.
And yet the administration says all they're doing is enforcing federal immigration laws.
Yeah, but that's not true, because federal immigration law has always required individualized suspicion. That's fundamental to due process. And remember, federal immigration law doesn't trump the Constitution. Federal immigration law operates within the confines of the Constitution, and the Constitution has always required individualized suspicion.
Legally, the administration says that the temporary block that's out of there right now, was unlawfully hamstringing law enforcement efforts. Is there a point there? Was it restraining them? Yes. Was it hamstringing them? I would say no, because under due process, okay, suppose we take this to the state of Arizona and we take it to Nogales, Arizona, the United States side. There'll be a lot of guys who look Hispanic there, speaking Spanish, dressed in work clothes, and most all of them were born in the United States. So does that mean that all of them can be lawfully stopped and questioned regarding their citizenship? I think not. Last question here. As you mentioned, I believe this is obviously still pending here, federal court, appeals court, I guess, federal appeals court. This means this could wind up back at the Supreme Court?
Yes, and it also means that the same thing could happen again. The district court could make the same ruling after a complete evidentiary hearing, and that could go to the Ninth Circuit. It would go back to the same panel. They could issue the same per curiam unanimous opinion, and it could go back up. And that's very likely to happen, because this district court judge heard a lot of evidence. I thought that she was mistaken, quite frankly, in deciding it without a full evidentiary hearing. I clerk for a federal district judge, and most district judges, before they enter any type of restraining order, like to have a fulsome evidentiary hearing. That's what due process counsels, and that should have been done in this case. It wasn't, but the evidence was overwhelming in favor of the temporary restraining order.
Stephen Montoya, Lucero, and Pastor, our go-to guy when it comes to constitutional and Supreme Court issues. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the latest on the fatal shooting of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. That's at 6 on Arizona PBS.
The Rancho Feliz Charitable Foundation was founded by Gil Gillenwater in 1987 as a way to help communities along both sides of the U.S.-Mexico border. Gillenwater's book, Hope on the Border, looks at those efforts as well as personal stories of a life in service. And we welcome Gil Gillenwater to Arizona Horizon. Good to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you very much.
And congratulations on the book, and congratulations on a lot of years of doing a lot of things.
4 decades.
My goodness, you have been around the... Okay, let's talk with the Rancho Feliz Foundation. What exactly is the charitable foundation all about?
You know, there's a misconception out there that it's about just helping Mexicans on the border. We do that. We do a lot of that. But our primary focus is providing a venue where American parents can take their children, go into the barrios, go into the slums, schools, church groups can come down and be exposed to a part of the world that we don't see in our little bubble up here in Scottsdale and Phoenix, Arizona.
And you're right, the best way to improve our own circumstances is to serve others.
See, that's what's different about our organization. I'm the most selfish man out there. I believe Mother Teresa was about as selfish as she could get. Why? Because she found out what gave her purpose, what gave her life meaning, and she immersed herself in it.
So the reciprocal giving cycle that you talk about and write about, is that what we're talking about here?
That's part of it, absolutely. Reciprocal giving is an interesting thing. You know, welfare can be so misunderstood. You don't give people things they didn't earn, because when you do that, you disempower them. They'll look at you and, oh, thank you, thank you. Inside, they hate you because you have it to give and they don't. So we structure all of our transactions reciprocally, where they have an investment in the transaction as well.
What got you started in all this?
I grew up, I went to Arcadia High School, Hopi. I mean, come on, you talk about the lack of privilege. I didn't get a BMW when I was 16, and I was pretty upset. I went down to Mexico. I took one step over that line. You know, you go from $15 an hour minimum wage to $14 a day in one step.
Was it one step? Was there an aha moment for you as a young man?
There was an aha moment in that I was sitting, it was like Bill Murray's Groundhog's Day. I was sitting down to Thanksgiving dinner with my brother Troy, and I could write the script. We're going to drink too much, eat too much, watch football. When I knew just south of the border there were people like me living without the basics of the human condition, and that's wrong. It's just wrong.
You got there, though, but I got to say, you played some college football.
Yeah.
You had some extensive real estate career here.
Yeah.
And you got into Eastern philosophies.
Yes.
I mean, you really have experienced life here. What did you learn from all of that? We'll start with football. What did you learn from playing football?
That's a big subject, but probably perseverance. You know, just perseverance and be able to take a hit and being able to get back up and go at it again. That's a big part of that game.
What about real estate?
Oh, the same.
Yeah, I'll bet.
No, real estate was learning to get along with people. Real estate is a person game.
Interesting. And Eastern philosophies, Kenpo karate, you got into hot yoga and all these, but also just the Eastern philosophies. What did that do to you?
Well, to me, and I'm not a Buddhist, but I studied it extensively. I've been over to Tibet 5 different times. I've studied with some pretty high-powered lamas in some pretty remote areas. Buddhism is nothing more than a science of the mind. We need to understand how and why this guy works if we want any chance of having a happy life.
Yeah, the whole idea of walking on, because the world is walking on, and you need to hang in there and follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So when you get volunteers, and all of the stuff we should say is in the book, right? I mean,
absolutely. That's 40 years of my experience, good, bad, and ugly.
And why did you write a book? Did you just want to get it down on paper?
I wrote a book because of what you talked about earlier today. Charlie Kirk gets shot. There's something wrong with America right now. And I believe we have a remedy. We give people meaning. We give people a purpose greater than their social media selfies. We get them down there and we make them better people. America needs what we have to offer now more than I've ever seen it.
How do you recruit those people, and how do you vet them? Make sure that they're gonna get something out of it.
It's interesting because they vet themselves, because we're all volunteers and they can feel pretty early on that whether they get it or they don't get it. But we don't have an advertising budget. It's simply word of mouth. And we've had, Ted, over 27,000 volunteers drive across the border and stay in our facility.
And your motto is, he who dies having had the most fun wins.
Amen. Why not?
Well, you have had a lot of fun, and you're still having fun, I take it, yeah. And congratulations on this book, and for really a life well lived in service. And keep it going, man.
I do appreciate that. Love to have you come down and visit us.
Oh, my goodness, if I came down there, holy smoke. Gil Gillenwater, again, Rancho Feliz, and the book is Hope on the Border. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Thank you, Ted.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.